Somerton Park Beach, Adelaide. On the last night of November, 1948, the surf comes in hard and white against the seawall, and the wind drags sand along the empty sand in long ribbons. Above the tide line, a man sits propped against the stone, legs crossed, head fallen back. He does not move when the spray reaches him. Rewind 7 months, and Adelaide is a city catching its breath. The war has been over 3 years. The suburbs are quiet, the trams run down to the sea, and on warm evenings, families walk the esplanade at Glenelg and Somerton. It is an ordinary place in an ordinary year. Nothing about it suggests a mystery that will outlive everyone involved. On the evening of the 30th of November, several people notice a man near the crippled children's home above the beach. He is lying back against the seawall in the same position all evening. One couple thinks he moves an arm. Another watcher decides he is simply drunk or asleep. Nobody goes down to check. The light fades and the beach empties. At about 6:30 the next morning, a man out for an early ride along the beach sees him again. Same wall, same crossed legs, same tilted head. This time there is a mosquito on his face and he does not flinch. Police are called. The man is dead, and he has been dead for hours. He is around 40 to 45 years old, close to 6 feet tall, with gray eyes and fair to ginger hair going silver at the temples. His build is powerful. His hands are soft and unmarked by manual labor. His calf muscles are unusually high and developed, the kind seen in dancers or men who spent years in boots and on their toes. He is dressed with care. A white shirt, a red and blue tie, brown trousers, a knitted pullover, and a double-breasted jacket, and shoes polished to a shine that seems impossible for a man who has spent a night on a beach. He wears no hat. In 1948, in an Australian city, a hatless man in a good suit is already strange. His pockets hold almost nothing. A comb, chewing gum, a box of matches, an unused rail ticket to Henley Beach, and a used bus ticket. A cigarette packet with cigarettes of a different brand inside. No wallet, no keys, no money, no letters, no name. Then the detectives notice something that turns the case in an instant. Every maker's label and laundry mark has been cut out of his clothing. Not torn in a hurry, cut. Someone had gone through this man's suit, stitch by stitch, and removed every thread that could lead back to a name. The autopsy deepens it. His organs are congested. There is blood in his stomach. His spleen is enormous, roughly 3 times the size it should be. The pathologist is certain this is poisoning, but every test comes back empty. Whatever killed him has left the signs of its violence and none of itself. One of Australia's leading pharmacologists is consulted privately. He suggests that a small group of rare poisons could do exactly this: kill quickly, leave the body wrecked, and then break down beyond detection. He will not write the names down in open court. He passes them to the coroner on a slip of paper. Police circulate his description across Australia, then across the world. Fingerprints go to Britain, to America, to every force that will take them. Dozens of families come forward to look at the body, hoping and dreading. Every one of them goes home again. He matches no missing person anywhere on Earth. In January, a clue surfaces at Adelaide railway station. A brown suitcase, checked into the cloakroom on the afternoon of the 30th of November, and never collected. Inside, clothing, a dressing gown, slippers, a stenciling brush, scissors, a sharpened knife. And again, almost every label has been removed. 3 items in the case still carry a name, Keane, or something close to it. Police chase it hard and find nothing. Investigators come to believe the name was left deliberately, precisely because it belonged to nobody. 2 clues, the same message. There is one more link. In the suitcase, a spool of unusual orange wax thread, the same thread used to repair a pocket on the trousers the dead man was wearing. The suitcase is his, and still he has no name. In June, unclaimed, he is embalmed, cast in plaster, and buried in West Terrace Cemetery. But before the burial, a final search of the clothing finds what everyone had missed. Sewn into the waistband of the trousers is a hidden fob pocket. Inside it, rolled tight, is a scrap of paper torn from the end of a book. 2 printed words in an unfamiliar script, Tamam Shud. It is Persian. It means roughly, "It is ended." The words are the last line of Edward Fitzgerald's translation of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a book of verses about the shortness of life, the emptiness of striving, and drinking deep before the wine runs out. The scrap has been torn from the final page. Police release a photograph of the scrap and appeal for the book it came from. Months pass. Then, in July 1949, a man walks into a station in Adelaide with a copy of the Rubaiyat. He had found it, he says, thrown into the back of his unlocked car in Glenelg, around the time the man died. The final page is torn. The torn edge matches the scrap exactly, and on the back of the book, pressed into the paper as if written on a sheet laid over it, are faint penciled indentations, lines of capital letters, grouped like words, crossed through in one place. Nobody can read them. Nobody ever will. Naval and military cryptographers examine the letters. Amateurs and academics have hammered at them ever since. The consensus is bleak. The text is too short to break. It may be a one-time key. It may be initials or a private shorthand. It may be the meaningless doodling of a man with nothing left to say. Written faintly in the same book is something far more concrete, a telephone number. It belongs to a young nurse living on Mosley Street in Glenelg, a few hundred meters from the seawall where the man was found. She tells them she does not know him. But when she is later shown the plaster cast of his face, an officer records that she looks close to fainting and turns away. Police believe she recognizes him. She never says so. She will hold that silence for the rest of her life. She does give police one lead. During the war, she had owned a copy of the Rubaiyat and had given it to an army officer she knew in Sydney. Detectives find him alive and well, still holding his copy, its final page intact. Whoever the dead man was, he was not the man she had once given a book of poems. By 1949, the world had cooled into something colder. South Australia hosted the Woomera rocket range, one of the most sensitive military test sites in the hemisphere, and Western intelligence agencies were increasingly concerned about leaks from Australia. A nameless, labelless, unpoisonable man on a beach fit that atmosphere perfectly. The spy theory has never been proved. No agency has ever claimed him. No file has ever surfaced. But it has never quite died either, because the alternative explanations are almost as strange. A man who cut out his own labels, carried a hidden line of Persian poetry, and sat down to die within sight of a stranger's front door. The coroner's inquest reached the only honest conclusion available. He could not say who the man was. He could not say how he died. He could not even say for certain that a crime had been committed. The file stayed open, and Adelaide grew up around a grave with no name on it. For decades, the case was kept alive by strangers, amateur researchers, retired police, university staff, and people who simply could not let it go. They measured the plaster bust and found unusual features, a rare ear shape, and a rare pattern of missing teeth. They chased descendants, they argued, they waited for science to catch up. In May 2021, after years of petitions, South Australia police exhumed the grave at West Terrace Cemetery. 72 years underground. The soil came away. The remains were lifted, and the man who had refused every method of identification available in 1948 was handed over to methods he could never have imagined. The breakthrough came from somewhere else entirely. Hairs caught in the plaster of the bust, made in 1949, still carried usable DNA. An Adelaide engineering professor and an American genetic genealogist built a family tree from it. Thousands of names, working backwards through marriages and deaths until only one branch remained. In July 2022, they announced a name: Carl Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker born in Melbourne in 1905. He had left his marriage. His estranged wife had moved to South Australia. And then, in the records, Carl Webb simply stops. No death registered, no trace, until a beach in Adelaide. It is the answer, and it is not an ending. Police have continued their own testing, and the name has not closed the case. Nobody knows why he came to Adelaide, why the labels were cut, what killed him, or what those letters pressed into the back of a book of poems were meant to say. And there is no proof he ever meant to be found at all. Only a man in a good suit, sitting down above the tide line, with a torn scrap of Persian in a pocket nobody was supposed to search. 2 words, carried to the end: it is ended. For everyone who has looked for him since, it never quite was.